This royal guard has been sent on a mission by his greedy king who craves copper. Our mission is to find as much copper as possible so we can craft beautiful clothing for our lovely king. Using a weapon from a different era replaced by many others like spears and pikes, we're going to do what we can to make this Halberd sing. Unfortunately for this brave soldier, this brave royal guard, he was not able to acquire copper for this first original set. The king's military and royal guard have yet to be fully equipped with copper, allowing them to dart in and out of combat and also the battlefield. So this set is mostly cobalt, which has decent armor pen, but really, this place is full of high mobility, high move speed, shapeshifters, and even holy men that you would not expect to be so damn fast. And luckily for us, that rogue assassin couldn't quite catch this cobalted up Halberdier. However, we have him in a good spot, and this is the room I need to be mining copper in. So we cannot allow these sorts of things to just linger. Uncovering this rogue leads us to a ranger as well, who decides that the rogue was his now friend, and he would just honor the 1v1 that him and I were having.
Shoot me, bud. One of you f***ers shot me, huh?
Nah, it was this fire pussy. Let's get him.
I respect 1v1s. You guys go ahead.
After a less than respectful conversation, we give this rogue absolutely no respect. We use our longbow and its punching power, do what needs to be done. After asserting dominance on him, this low testosterone individual decides this is his moment. Being a typical cowardly ranger, he's just doing everything possible to win this. Luckily for us, we can just barely squeeze through these next couple doors, and this little ring around the rosy will hopefully end with a halberd into this ranger's face. That survival blow hurts, and likely additional damage he's running will just completely cook us if we walk into another quick shot. Even though most people view halberdiers as just pure brawn, this guy does have some brains. We're going to make the most of our little opportunity we have here to bandage, as we know he's reversing, trying to get the angle on us. He makes a critical mistake. And boy, did that ever feel satisfying. Unfortunately, this royal guard was in for a rude journey. No idea who Wilson is, but this guy was overly eager to try to find me in this lobby after seeing my name in the top. Which is unfortunate, because we are half HP, looking for copper, and not in a trusting mood. Slowly getting our HP back up a little bit, he starts to do his forms, which just can't get close to him with the mobs and treant, keeping us at bay. Knowing likely panther form's coming, we need to have our weapon out ready for it, or else we're gonna get absolutely squashed. Between thorns, treant, bear, there's just so much body blocking, it's insane. Surprisingly, this guy does a chicken into bear, which gave us absolutely no room to maneuver because treant's hitting me in the back. And this is not the worst experience I've had in normals, but there have been many odd experiences lately in solo goblin caves. You guys can watch some of that at the end, or even watch me live. But this guard is not going to give up that easy. And we get chased down by another individual who happened to know who this royal guard's true identity was from a former life. And there's just no chance you can turn and fight a faithfulness smite cleric. Given one more chance by a unnamed god and a life debt owed. We're going back in. However, this time we're actually going to switch to breakthrough and run a copper chest piece. Luckily, there have been times where I've been successful with some of my copper crusading, but I've never really gone this light because you just die so fast. This will be an interesting one, and I think breakthrough might save me from smite, faithfulness, judgment, whatever it may be. I just thought this may be the best way to get any sort of gap closing done with Halberd. Relying mostly on the longbow to deal some range damage with high dexterity, and then switching to the Halberd for our Palace Guard style duels as much as possible. Pretty decent move speed. We'll see how this one competes. We're now dealing with the Mad King, who is really getting upset with the fact that we're not bringing him the copper and we're wearing it ourselves. We get a fight for the ages. And this Royal Guard was put to the test repeatedly by this Goblin Caves dungeon delving experience. And you may think this fight's going our way using longbow to push and deal damage to a dual-wielding Slayer fighter. However, we heard other steps, and those other steps are very menacing ones. As you can see in the top corner, some individuals have been absolutely tearing this place up with insane weapons and magic. Shortly after this, we finally find the man we're looking for. And of course, what else but a druid in these dungeons? Nothing else would really make sense. The druids are often lawless, thieves, rule breakers, doing whatever they can to get the upper hand for their people. Perhaps this is the sole reason why the king sent us here in the first place, to deal with the high mobility, high move speed druids. Copper could be essential, and I'm really hoping this chess piece will save me from this consistent and constant leopard attacks. Getting some space, we see he keeps pushing in close, and essentially we're going to need to be pretty good with this longbow to keep this guy off us, as we try to drain some of his spells and resources. Each time he casts Treant is one less opportunity where he can pinch us in a corner with potentially bear form, as happened to us earlier. And there's kind of been two go-to methods that druids have been using. Full agi, panther form, or full strength, bear form. Either way, it's really difficult to know what's going to happen and when they're going to play their trump card. You often need weapon out in case they're panther, and that leaves you really vulnerable to get stuck by Treant in this situation, and then getting bear formed. Like in these moments, this poor Royal Guard, all he smells is bear, and it does not smell good. He's just getting repeatedly mauled by furry creatures. It's incredible. Luckily enough, this copper is keeping us just out of reach, but even so, when we're landing hits, it hurts us for 5 damage because of thorns. And really, we're probably gonna have to hit this bear a lot. Even with close to 20% armor pen stacked on this Halberd, it is a difficult exchange. A very difficult exchange. We see him retreating, likely healing up some of that HP after we did land a couple of decent blows. This is going to be another one of those situations where resets on resets on resets are going to happen. He can perfectly wall us out with thorns, do his healing around the corner, and there's really nothing I can do. Unfortunately, even our explosive bottle clipped the wall. So we have to reset ourselves, reload, hope we have enough arrows, and can maybe catch this druid in a bad situation without spells, or maybe just a few less options. At any moment, he can just decide. He can leave, or he can push. We try to catch him when Dream Walk, or whatever it's called, and instantly into bear form, back into human form, and it goes on and on again. Another nice shot on his human body, but we can't really get in there. We just can't get in there. It's so difficult. The second we do, we take a hand hit from this bear, and now Treant's pushing us out of the way, so we can't get anywhere close to him again. And it just never ends. The body blocking, the just all-around mobility, move speed, resets. It's so difficult. And that longbow shot may have saved my life temporarily. And it may have kept him at bay for just long enough. The unfortunate part here is I can never catch this man. I try to sling some arrows through the door. I know he's going to go campfire somewhere or reset all his spells, and we're just going to do this process again where I have to play perfectly to have a chance, even a remote chance at killing this guy. he returns briefly after running across half the map and sitting in a corner somewhere. And we need to get out of here. I don't think we can fight this one again. We're running out of arrows. And this is not going to end well if we stay here too much longer. One last opportunity. And we get absolutely clobbered as he changes the second before we hit him. And now we need to retreat to this. We need to retreat to this exit as fast as possible. Sadly, for this Royal Guard, this life was once again wasted as we get stuck on an entryway trying to shuffle our way across the map. As you can see, he had some decent stuff, and a messenger said that in bear form he had 270 HP and 65% PDR. Yeah, that's a bit wild. But what I didn't realize was we're probably dead anyway, because this was taken. Unfortunately for him, it was taken, which leaves him in a pretty bad spot as he charges across the map, does everything he possibly can to try to escape, but unfortunately, this one comes to an end before he can. You know what, I like to think that was probably a draw. So, a very, very good engagement, but just incredibly difficult. Like, so incredibly difficult. I wasn't using, like, horrible gear. I had some decent stuff on. It just felt like such an uphill battle. And speaking of uphill battles, this is what I meant by Goblin Caves. There's an example at the end here where it's just horrible teaming, and there's an example in this situation with some odd stuff happening as well. We ended up getting chased around the map a few times and had a couple decent engagements, but kept getting pushed into another player that was just ready to fight us. And so we kind of became quite a nuisance for whoever we were dealing with. With this amount of move speed, I can get away from most things, but what ends up happening in Goblin Caves is if you pick an engagement and you try to move away from it, you always run into another guy. There's just another guy waiting, whether it be a rogue, whether it be a smite cleric, or a druid. And in this situation,
This is what you get for running so much, coward. Hi-yay!
in this situation, it was just guys VoIPing being VoIPers, I guess you could say. Which makes it very, very difficult to just solo PvP. Extremely difficult. Luckily, one of them leaves, and this gives me an opportunity to maybe take out some revenge on this barbarian. And I might add, this is not the worst situation yet. Trying to get him a little bit whittled down with our longbow. We do poke him quite nicely. Judging by the amount of gear I was seeing in this lobby, pretty much one double axe swing could be the end of me. I need to be very careful. Now that I'm dragging a bunch of mobs, I cannot really commit to that fight yet. Especially since there is a ranger still lurking in the shadows, as well as a rogue. There's a lot of players still left in this lobby, and I don't want to be in between them all. But my primary target is definitely this barbarian. We hear him going to the large room in front of us. We hope we can land some shots across as he's fighting with some of these mobs. But something kind of unexpected happens, and like I said, there was another rogue here who we engaged with earlier, and he comes back in to get this guy in a really bad situation. And then one arrow to the rogue, and we're out of here. We actually got some pretty good stuff from this. There's some gloves on that rogue that's worth like 700 or 800 gold. And the barbarian had some very, very decent items as well. But this wasn't the worst experience. This one I'm about to show you was. Once again, just minding my own business, solo PvP, and there's a barb being pocket healed by a cleric, which I thought was a little odd. And I asked these guys, this is my in-game VoIP, and here's the response we get. What is this bullshit? What is this bullshit? This is solo as you fuck.
Or change the rules.
We like to bend them. We like to bend them.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty sure this was some pretty serious pre-teaming, unfortunately. Even at the end.
Nah,
nice, bro. Bro, check them out.
I literally had a pair of loose trousers on. The rest of my stuff was worth less than 100 gold each. But this was one of the first times in a long time where I've actually reported people for pre-teaming because I just couldn't. I did not want anyone else to have to experience anything like this. It was so obvious, and this isn't even the whole clip. It was crazy. So the past couple nights, especially with normals not having any way to hide your name in game, it's been a little weird. Like, just a little weird in Goblin Caves recently. And I don't really know what the solution is. The normals gear lobby is just odd. Everything about it odd, rotation's odd, and I hope something changes eventually. I just wish more people just wanted to play the game. I'm just gonna have to turn VoIP off. We did get a lot of copper. This guard's quest wasn't in vain. Just didn't go quite as smoothly as I had hoped. So thank you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.